In this slideshow, we look at the politics of the Gilded Age, and we ask if the Gilded Age was a mirror of our own time. Now, you're going to be divided into one of four groups. One of the groups has to do with the strength of the two political parties. Why were they equal in strength? How were they equal in strength? And what were other factors that contributed to the political deadlock between the two parties and the fact that neither party could accomplish very much once it got into power? Here are some of the factors: bipartisan blindness to the economic responsibilities of government, the fact that neither political party believed that the economy was the government's business. Very unlike today. The parties were remarkably equal in strength, and they did not want to tackle the real issues of the time. Plus, the Democrats had always been opposed to big government. So what you need to do, what each group needs to do, is to try to find some connections between the Gilded Age in terms of politics and today, or talk about the differences. So one of the groups is going to be handling the issue of the equal strength of the two political parties and how that played a part in government gridlock. Another group is going to talk about the Electoral College. Just like today, the Electoral College existed for presidential elections, and you had to get one more vote than half of the total number of electoral votes to win, and that would be 185. The South had a lock on 127 of those votes. That is, 127 of those votes came from the South. Another group is going to handle the popular vote, and this slide shows the popular vote. And what this group is going to have to do, Group 2, is talk about which political parties won which elections and whether or not they won both the popular vote and the Electoral College vote. We'll talk about that too, but your group 2, is going to have to tackle that. Group 3 is going to have to talk about the extent to which the two political parties waved the bloody shirt in the presidential campaigns between 1865 and 1900. Well, of course, this slide says that both political parties did that. You'll need to talk about the Winfield Scott Hancock campaign of 1880. What political party was that? And this is Group 3. Which politicians or candidates were former Civil War soldiers between 1865 and 1900? Group 4 is going to talk about the Whig philosophy of presidential power and the use of dirty tricks in campaigns. How often were dirty tricks used in campaigns? Well, certainly in 1884, and you'll need to explain how that worked in 1884. But the most important thing you're going to have to explain is the Whig philosophy of presidential power. Why was that so pervasive? What was the impact of presidents and candidates believing in the Whig philosophy of presidential power? What was it? You'll have to define it first, and then talk about how it affected politics and leadership and government in the late 19th century. This is the responsibility of Group 4. So read the American Yop and be prepared to discuss this at the flip session to follow. Now, also, I think the whole class will need to weigh in on this one, is the Supreme Court's contributions to gridlock. How did the court interpret the Reconstruction Amendments? In other words, what were the rulings of the Supreme Court in the late 19th century regarding the Reconstruction Amendments? Did the court enforce these laws? If not, why not? And what Supreme Court rulings show the court putting property rights ahead of human rights? You might want to look at the Granger cases and the Interstate Commerce Act of 1887 in the courts, or anything else that the American Yop talks about. So that's your responsibility for the four groups as far as the politics of the late 19th century are concerned.